Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are finally here, Chapter 101, Reverse Mountain.
The gateway, the point of no return, the page turn that separates the prologue from the novel itself.
And what a gateway it is. We knew getting into the Grand Line wasn't going to be easy, but I was not expecting them to be staring down the literal jaws of a dozen sea monsters just to get to the front door. It's like getting to the theme park and having to fight the mascots just to get to the ticket booth.
A very specific kind of theme park, but yes, it's one thing to hear stories about the Calm Belt. The sailors in Logetown spoke of it like a myth, a ghost story to scare young pirates. It's another to see it. That silence was terrifying.
Right? If you're ready to make this climb into the most dangerous sea in the world with us, make sure you're part of our crew. A subscription is the only way to guarantee you don't get left behind in a monster's nest.
A grim but accurate assessment. Shall we begin the ascent?
Let's do it. So we open with the crew sailing through this absolute monster of a storm. It's chaos. Rain is lashing down, waves are crashing over the deck, and Luffy, bless his simple, beautiful heart, is worried about a lighthouse light going out behind them.
He thinks it's an emergency, that the lighthouse keeper needs help, or that they'll get lost because the light is gone, which is a very reasonable, very human concern for anyone who isn't on a ship with Nami. It shows his good nature, but it also shows how much he still has to learn about the sea.
It really does. He's looking backwards, worried about where they came from, but Nami, she's laser focused on where they're going, and she just shuts him down so perfectly. Remember why I'm the navigator? It's such a great moment. It's not mean, it's just pure, unadulterated confidence. She's not just holding the map, she's the one who knows the way.
It's a complete transformation from the Nami we saw just a few arcs ago. Think about her during the Arlong Park arc. She was skilled, of course, but she was operating from a place of desperation, of fear. Her navigation was a tool for survival, a means to an end. Here, in this storm, it's not just a skill, it's an art form. It's her passion.
Oh, that's a great point. She's not just trying to get from A to B, she's taming the storm itself. The confidence is just radiating off her. She's shouting orders and everyone is listening without question. There's no debate.
It's the first time we see her take complete command in a situation that is purely about navigation. This is her domain. Zoro can shoot, Usopp can fight, but in this storm, she's the captain. She's in her element, and in that moment, she is the most powerful person on that ship. It's a powerful statement about how every member of this crew has a distinct and vital role. They aren't just a collection of strong fighters. They are a balanced, functioning unit.
Exactly. And then she drops the bomb. The crew is still reeling from the storm, and she takes that moment to lay out the insane plan. She unrolls the map she jacked from Buggy, which is still hilarious to think about, that this clown had a map to the Grand Line this whole time, and points to the Red Line.
She explains that the only safe entrance to the Grand Line is a place called Reverse Mountain, a mountain they have to sail up. And the deadpan way she delivers it is perfect. She presents this impossible, physics-defying concept as a simple fact of geography.
The crew's reaction is perfect, utter disbelief. It's a spectrum of disbelief. Usopp is just slack-jawed. Sanji is probably thinking about how cool Nami is for knowing this stuff. And then you have Zoro, our rock of pragmatism, immediately skeptical. He asks if a map from Buggy the Clown can even be trusted. He's got a point.
It's the logical question to ask. Zoro is grounded. He believes in what he can cut, what he can see. A clown's map telling him to sail up a mountain goes against every rational instinct he has. It's the first major challenge to his straightforward worldview. He's about to learn that the rules of the East Blue do not apply here.
Not even a little. But then you have the polar opposite of Zoro in Luffy. He just hears magic mountain you can sail up, and his eyes turn into literal stars. He is 100% in. No questions, no doubt, just pure, uncut adventure brain. It's not a problem to be solved. It's the next awesome thing to do.
Which is why Zoro's next suggestion is so funny and so telling. He just suggests they go around and enter from the south. He's trying to apply logic and efficiency to a journey that is fundamentally illogical.
And Luffy looks at him like he just suggested they give up and become turnip farmers. The sheer offense he takes. He says, "Don't you get it? The whole point is that we're sailing up a mountain. It's this beautiful, simple distillation of the entire series."
His reasoning is flawless, of course. They have to go up the mountain because it's cool. And that's not a flippant remark. For Luffy, the experience, the wonder, the challenge, that is the treasure. He's not just trying to get from the end of the Grand Line, he's trying to live through every impossible moment along the way.
And you know what? He's right. It is cool. Nami's disgusted face is the perfect punchline, but Luffy's not wrong. This is the heart of One Piece. Why take the boring route when the impossible awesome route is right there? It's the spirit of adventure personified.
It's the core philosophy of his entire journey. But then, just as they've committed to this insane plan, the world throws a wrench in that philosophy. The storm just stops.
Yeah, that was unnerving. 1 minute it's a tempest, the next dead silence. No wind, the sails go slack, the sound just dies. Oda does such a great job with the panels here. Everything goes still. And you see Nami's face just drop. The confidence from a moment ago is gone, replaced by pure, cold dread.
She knows immediately what this is. She recognizes the symptoms before anyone else even realizes there's a problem. She realizes they've drifted into the calm belt.
Her panic is so real, and it's infectious. She's screaming for everyone to start rowing, and Usopp's just like, "Nami, this is not a rowboat." He's still in a comedic mindset. He has no idea how much trouble they're in. That contrast between her terror and his confusion just cranks up the tension.
And she has to explain it, to spell out the horror. The Grand Line is sandwiched between these two strips of ocean that have no wind and no currents. They are a ship graveyard, a trap, a place where ships go to die of thirst and starvation, adrift for eternity. It's a chilling concept.
A trap and a nest. That's the line that really got me. She calls it a nest for sea kings. Oda's building the dread so perfectly here. The quiet is worse than the storm was. The silence is the sound of the predator's den.
Because in the storm, they had a direction. They had Nami's skill. They had agency. Here, they're just stuck, powerless, at the mercy of whatever lives in the depths. And then the ship starts to shake.
They think it's an earthquake at first, which makes no sense in the middle of the ocean. Sanji thinks it's a volcano. They're grasping for any rational explanation, but the truth is so much worse.
The camera pulls back and you see them. These massive, behemoth sea monsters just rising from the depths on all sides of the Going Merry. The sense of scale is breathtaking and horrifying.
They make the Lord of the Coast, the one that took Shank's arm, look like a guppy. They are enormous. Their heads alone dwarf the ship. The crew is just frozen, staring up at these things that could swallow them whole without even noticing. Their eyes are just these tiny dots on these colossal heads.
This is the first time we're seeing the true scale of the world's dangers. The East Blue was the tutorial level. We met tough pirates, skilled swordsmen, but the environment itself was manageable. The calm belt is the first wall. It's a literal barrier designed by nature to keep people out of the Grand Line.
It recontextualizes everything. It makes you wonder how formidable figures in the Marines managed to cross this. Do they have special ships, engines? It immediately establishes a new power level not for a person, but for the world itself. It makes the world government and the Marines feel that much more formidable, because you have to assume they've found a way to tame this untamable place.
It also validates Nami completely. Zoro was questioning her plan, suggesting they just find another way in. He was challenging her expertise. And then this happens. The universe itself slaps him in the face and says, "Listen to your navigator."
Oh yeah. After they manage to get a freak gust of wind and escape back into the storm, the debate is over. Zoro is a believer. He's just like, okay, mountain it is. I get it now. There's no more argument. He saw the alternative, and the alternative is a guaranteed horrible death.
He needed to see it. He's a man of action and evidence, and he just got a mountain of it. And now that they're all on the same page, unified by terror and a newfound respect for Nami's plan, she can explain the how. It's not magic, as Luffy thought. It's physics.
And what amazing bonkers physics it is. I love this part. As a shipwright, this stuff gets my gears turning. She explains that 4 major ocean currents, one from each of the 4 blues, east, west, north, and south, slam into the base of Reverse Mountain.
They have nowhere to go but up. The sheer kinetic energy of 4 oceans colliding forces the water into the canals carved into the mountain. They converge and create a powerful, narrow saltwater river that flows straight up the mountain, an uphill canal.
It's so clever. Oda didn't just say they sail up a mountain because it's fantasy. He gave it a reason, a mechanism that makes sense within the fantastical rules of his world. It's grounded in a kind of logical insanity. That's the good stuff right there. That's the detail that makes it all feel real, that makes you believe a ship could actually do this.
And it clarifies the stakes beautifully. The power is there to carry them, but it's ferociously strong. It's a natural engine, but it's not a safe one. The only thing standing between them and getting smashed to pieces against the mountain is their control of the rudder. It's a test of pure helmsmanship.
Luffy, of course, doesn't get a word of it. The panel of his brain just melting, smoke coming out of his ears is an all-timer. But Sanji is just in awe of Nami. He's totally mesmerized by her intelligence and skill. His usual heart eyes are there, but there's something more behind it.
It is. He's impressed by her as a person, by her capability. It's more than just his usual fawning over her beauty. He respects her mind. He sees her passion and her mastery, and he's captivated by it. It's a great little character beat that adds depth to his personality beyond just being the crew's chivalrous cook.
Totally. And then they see it. The storm is raging, visibility is terrible, and then this colossal shadow looms in the fog ahead of them, the red line.
The scale is immense. The art sells it perfectly. It's not a mountain range. It's a continent made of red earth that circles the entire globe, a sheer vertical wall that touches the clouds. It makes the Going Merry look like a child's toy. It's the second time in one chapter that they are dwarfed by the world around them.
And there it is, the narrow channel, the river flowing straight up its face. They have to hit that tiny target in this raging storm, like threading a needle in a hurricane. The pressure is on.
Sanji and Usopp grab the rudder. You can see the strain on their faces, the muscles bulging in their arms. This isn't a gentle course correction. They are fighting the full force of the sea to stay in this one narrow current. Every wave is trying to throw them against the rocks.
And just as they're lining it up, the worst possible thing happens. The one thing they couldn't afford to lose. With a sickening crack, the main steering pole of the rudder just snaps off.
They've lost all control. The ship lurches violently. They're rocketing up this mountain, completely at the mercy of the current and careening straight for the stone gate at the entrance of the canal. They're about to be obliterated.
My heart was in my throat, man. This is it. This is their first real all-hands-on-deck crisis as a 5-person crew. It's not a villain they can punch. It's not something Zoro can cut. It's the world itself trying to crush them before they even get started.
And Luffy does what only he can do. In that split second of pure panic while everyone else is screaming or bracing for impact, his mind is already working.
He doesn't hesitate for a second. He doesn't ask for ideas. He just acts. He runs to the bow, yells "Gum Gum Balloon," and inflates himself into a giant cushion between the ship and the rock. He makes himself the new prow of the ship.
He uses his ridiculous stretchy power not to attack, but to defend, to protect his ship, his friends, their journey. It's such a profound choice. His strength isn't just for defeating enemies, it's for shielding his nakama from harm.
He takes the full impact, this massive crunch, as the Going Merry slams into him, and he absorbs it, bouncing them right back into the center of the current. It was super. He literally becomes the airbag for his entire crew's dream. It's gotta be one of the most creative uses of his powers we've seen so far.
It's a perfect encapsulation of his captaincy. He puts himself, his own body, on the line without a second thought. His strength is for his crew. Always. He is their ultimate shield.
And they make it. They ride the recoil right through the gate and they're on their way. The sheer relief and joy on their faces is palpable. They're all screaming, cheering. Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, Nami, they're all just celebrating being alive. They faced the impossible and won as a team.
It's a huge moment. This was the entrance exam. The Calm Belt tested their knowledge and preparedness, Reverse Mountain tested their nerve and their skill, and the Broken Rudder tested their ability to adapt and protect each other. They passed. They proved they belong on this sea.
Then they reach the peak. The chaos subsides. The water crests, and they're looking down the other side of the mountain. And spread out before them under a clear, sunlit sky is the Grand Line.
The Promised Sea. The start of the real adventure. Oda gives us this magnificent double-page spread. The storm is behind them, a memory. Ahead lies a new world, vast and full of potential. Everything up to this point, Logtown, Arlong Park, Battery, that was all the prologue.
The East Blue was Chapter 0. This is Chapter 1 of the rest of their lives. It's an incredible final shot. They're literally at the top of the world, looking down at their future. They made it. They're really here.
And they have absolutely no idea what's waiting for them at the bottom of that slope, which, of course, is the most exciting part.
Speaking of which, I was looking into some of Oda's author comments from the original magazine release, and the one for this week was kind of fun and really shows where his head can be at.
Oh? What did our dear author have to say?
He was talking about an artist-lyricist named Mitsudo Nakamura, who he thought just drew album covers for a band called 19, but he'd recently found out that the guy is actually in the band too. Oda just sounds so genuinely impressed in his little note, like, he's a musician too? That's so cool. It's so pure.
That's very charming. In the middle of crafting this epic world-changing chapter, he's taking a moment to be a fan of someone else's multidisciplinary talent. It's nice to see what captures his interest outside of the manga. Just a moment of pure appreciation for another creator's talent.
Yeah, it's a cool little peek behind the curtain. It just makes him feel more real, you know? But man, after a chapter like that, with a final moment that huge, the next chapter can't just be smooth sailing down a mountain. That's not how Oda works.
It absolutely cannot. The triumphant swell of music would immediately cut to a record scratch.
Exactly. The energy from this chapter is just off the charts. It's pure exhilaration. We want to know what you all thought of this moment. Tell us what you think is waiting for them at the bottom of Reverse Mountain in the comments. We want to see your theories.
All right, Frankie, let's put our cards on the table. Predictions. What do you have for Chapter 102?
Okay, first up, and this feels like a safe bet. Something is physically in their way at the bottom. It's not just a splashdown into open water. The currents converging and then separating has to create some kind of chaos. I'm thinking either a massive, localized whirlpool created by the downward flow, or there's a creature that lives there, a gatekeeper that feeds on whatever comes down the mountain.
The Welcome Wagon, a sort of customs agent with teeth. I like it. A physical obstacle to immediately humble them after their great success.
Exactly. Second prediction, they meet a person almost immediately. There's a lighthouse right at the entrance. We saw it before they went up. I have to think there's a keeper there. I bet we're going to meet whoever that is, and they'll be the one to give them the next big exposition dump about how this sea actually works. They need a guide for the first step, and the lonely old lighthouse keeper at the entrance to the most dangerous sea in the world fits the bill perfectly.
That feels right. They need a guide for the first few steps, someone to explain the new rules of this world. What else are you thinking, Frankie?
My next prediction is that the first thing they truly encounter is the weather. We saw the storm, then the dead calm, then the storm again. That was a taste. I think the next chapter will establish the Grand Line's completely unpredictable and insane weather patterns as the new normal.
They'll splash down into sunshine, and 5 minutes later it'll be a snowstorm or giant hail, or the sea will turn to pudding. Something to show Nami that even her skills will be pushed to their absolute limit here.
A trial by climate. That's a good one. It's a classic feature of the Grand Line we've heard whispers about. A direct challenge to their greatest asset, their navigator.
Second, the first island they're heading for gets a name, and it's going to set the tone. It won't be something generic like Sandy Island or Port Town. It'll be something bizarre that immediately makes you ask questions. I'm imagining a name like Whiskey Peak, or something equally strange, a name that promises a specific and weird adventure.
I like that. A name that's a story in itself. It's good world building.
Exactly. And for my last one, and this is the big one, the log pose. They have no way to navigate this sea. Nami's skills are amazing, but a normal compass is useless here because the magnetic fields are a mess. I predict the central conflict of the next 1 or 2 chapters will be acquiring a log pose. They can't go anywhere without it, and I think they're about to learn that the hard way, probably by sailing in circles or nearly crashing into an island they couldn't see coming.
The most crucial piece of equipment for any Grand Line pirate. They are functionally blind without it. That's a very solid prediction. Their journey is on hold until they can solve that problem.
We'll see who's right next time, but wow, what a chapter. This is it. The adventure has begun, for real this time. Join us next week as we slide down the other side of the mountain and take our first real steps into the Grand Line.
Until then, keep your rudder straight.
Super!